Ladies and gentlemen, it's an unfortunate reality, but America has become a joke when it comes to the entertainment and media spaces. Japan really does eat our lunch, lap us, and basically throw a pie in our face as they're running on our left. There is nothing that modern American Western entertainment can do to compete because the so called creatives in America are crippled by cult like adherence to wokeness, identity politics, and leftist dogma, which is not relatable to most of the world. It's not even relatable to most of America. The ideas and principles that made the American comic industry, made the American movie industry, made the American television industry the standard of the world for a long, long time. It was because those principles were relatable to everyone. The depiction of America in Japanese entertainment is 1,000 times better than what we get here. We get a bunch of sad, miserable, pathetic, virtue hungry, degenerate, low IQ, bottom feeding, desperate for attention and relevance and validation people that have done nothing and yet hate everything and condemn this country and what we stand for and what we believe in and reject God and reject all of the things that made this country good. The reality is that America is special, or rather it was. And the comics and the media was reflective of that. Think about this for a second. America fought World War II. At that time, if America had wanted to, if we were this colonial imperial force that just conquered the world, we could have. After World War II, we had nukes. We were witnessing a world that had just been devastated by war. We could have stepped in and said, this is all ours. But no, we didn't do that. We pulled back. We worked with the rest of the world to occupy Germany, to split it into a couple different parts, to make sure that it didn't do World War III. And so I look at what America has done and what it stood for, and it's something to be proud of. It really is the shining empire on the hill. But unfortunately, it's been torn down by Marxist and communists and these degenerate, low value, low IQ individuals that are genuinely, and I say this repeatedly, but understand, these are the worst human beings that our species, not just our society, our species has ever produced. Ungrateful, entitled, stupid, just oozing their way through life, miserable, angry. And so the characters that these type of people create, the worlds that they create, are akin to hell, demonic, foul. You look at a movie that Disney recently came out with, Wish. It did horrible at the box office. No one wanted anything to do with it. But they thought that the main character, because she's black, because she has a stupid half-head shaved haircut, that she would be the person that the audience relates to. That's how demented and warped these people are. They genuinely believe that it's race that's the deciding factor. I sided with the king in nearly all aspects of that movie. Because the protagonist, the person we're supposed to relate to, is so unlikable, so terrible. It's like making a Star Wars movie, but you're rooting for Darth Vader because the main character is so awful. The truth is that all these people see is race and sexuality because, and I don't mean this to sound elitist or snobbish, but understand these people who think themselves the smartest people in the room, who think themselves better than you, maybe they went to an Ivy League school, understand their brain is inferior to our brains. It's inferior. It is incapable of processing information that is not the most shallow and superficial. There's no subtlety. There's no complexity. Everything that these people consume is a diet of the most just absolutely straightforward, toxic garbage. It is a miasma of poison and rot, which is why their brain rots, their body rots, and their soul rots. And so the rest of the world is laughing. They're laughing in America. They're saying, we once looked up to you, but now you can't even polish our boots. America doesn't have anything like Mobile Suit Gundam. Something that's been going on for years. When I was growing up, I remember as a kid I liked Gundam. It's been going on for so long, and it has a legacy. And you know what? Even if there are Gundam shows that I don't like, and there certainly are, I don't like all Gundam. But at the end of the day, I appreciate the fact that I've never seen a Gundam and said, wow, they really phoned that in. The animation's terrible. The dialogue's terrible. Everything about it's terrible. The protagonist is just this obnoxious, virtue-hungry, race-swapped, woke, feminist character that's promoting the message. No, it's always been something that at least is worthy of respect, even if you don't enjoy it, even if you don't like it. For example, Gundam Seed. I didn't think that I would like Gundam Seed, but I did. Probably a couple years ago. Great show. I didn't like the follow up. There was a Gundam Seed like Destiny or something. Hated that. I was like, that's terrible. But the animation was still good. Story was, wasn't for me, but it wasn't terrible. The fact of the matter is that people are calling Disney's content, and really America's content, disappointing and boring. And I agree with this, that the full switch to digital animation has left the company and the country creatively sterile. Because any person that thinks that this character is anything but a person that you should hate and you should want to root against, you're crazy. You're crazy if you don't realize that this is the bad guy. This is the villain. Everything that they look like, they represent, and they are. Every word that comes out of their mouth, every entitlement, every philosophy that comes spewing out of the mouth of this character that is really just a portrayal of the regressive and brain-rotted opinion of the people working on the film. If you don't realize that this is the person that you should want to lose, there's no helping you. There's a reason why people are so viscerally disgusted by this. Now, the lowest IQ individuals who see the world based on race will say that you hate it based on race. Because that's the limit of their cognitive capabilities. They can't go past that. Because that's a little too deep for them. It's like trying to put 5 gallons of water into a little 8-ounce water bottle. They just can't do it. Once the 8 ounces is full, like their brain is full, race, Sexuality, sexuality, sexuality. That's all their brain can fit. So when you have somebody from Japan who says, wow, your stuff is garbage, we really have to take a look and say, what are we doing wrong that we're not the envy of the world like we used to be? And how on earth can we get these people out? I mean, any leader at this point, any leader of a company, daily, there should be videos uploaded of these people being drug out of the building and thrown out onto the street. There should be video of these woke SJWs, these male feminists, and these women being drug out by their hair, by their feet, by their socks, by their toes, and thrown out of the building. And if they refuse to leave, throw them off the top of the building. Who gives a shit? The reality is that these people are destroying culture and entertainment for no upside and no value, and now we're a joke. Now we're a joke to the point where everyone looks at us and laughs. And Japan is getting the very best. Video games, manga, which are just comic books for the modern age. Anime, which are cartoons that we used to do better than anyone. But nowadays, we get this soulless, computerized, woke garbage, and there's nobody who's telling the truth about it. Sure, there will be YouTube channels that make a career off of being angry about culture. That's not what I'm here to do. There are lots of people that have the the clickbait thumbnails and ridiculous over the top titles, and they get out here and they rant and they're angry. But they're not really angry. They're doing it because it's a job. And if they're ever confronted by somebody, that's usually what they say. Well, it's just my job. I do this as a hobby because I genuinely care about entertainment and media. I've seen how good it can be, not just in Japanese anime, not just in Japanese manga, not just in video games from Japan, but I've seen how good it can be in America when I was growing up. There were some of the best movies and comic books and television shows. And sure, there were a lot of stinkers. There was a lot of garbage. And some of it was, oh my God, it was bad. But there were also those gems, those special bits of something. Star Wars and Star Trek are both American-made properties. And what have we allowed them to do with Star Wars and Star Trek? Absolutely ruined them. Terminator, Ninja Turtles, both American-made. What have they done with it? Well, we saw Seth Rogen turn April O'Neil into a fat, black, unattractive lesbian. That's not just a meme now. They're literally doing it. And came out with what I saw as one of the most disappointing adaptations of the Ninja Turtles in my lifetime. Ghostbusters, an American-made classic. Just the peak of comedy. I love Ghostbusters. What did they do with it? Turn it into an all-female remake and absolutely devastated the franchise. It hasn't recovered culturally. We're at a point now where they have tarnished or outright destroyed nearly every iconic, beloved American show or comic or movie. And so if you want to know why I get a little bit agitated, because I care about this stuff and it's embarrassing. It's embarrassing that we're not able to compete with Japan, whose primary mode of entertainment is based off of us. They were inspired, if you ask any mangaka, what inspired you? Like with My Hero Academia and all these other popular shows, what inspired you? Well, a lot of it was American comic books, American cartoons, American exceptionalism in media. But nowadays, America isn't represented as Guile or All Might. We're represented by this. Because a bunch of talentless hacks have convinced each other that this is virtuous. This is the future. This is good. This is what you need to do. It's not. You've ruined every major franchise. You have no successes to draw on. There is no long-standing show that you creeps and you degenerates and you perverts and you low-value beta males have touched that is successful or more successful. Because it doesn't exist. You ruined Gears of War 5. You made it focus on the female sidekick. Nobody cared about that character, so the franchise died. It'll be interesting to see what Grand Theft Auto 6 does. They're putting a female as the main focus. I don't know. Who knows if it's going to be as good as the other ones, which were very, very, very interesting. You take a look across the board, and the more that these people infect media, the worse it becomes. To the point where there is no other excuse or justification other than this is intentional. They want to do this. Because it's not about making money anymore. Clearly it's not. Because if it were about making money, I could make so much money for Disney, it's not even funny. Without even trying. Because there are limitless ideas that you could do because you have so many IPs. A crossover between Aquaman and The Little Mermaid. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson plays King Triton's brother. You could absolutely do something like that. You could go outside the box. You could go nuts. Kingdom Hearts. Make a Kingdom Hearts movie if you're Disney. Why the hell wouldn't you do that? You have access to all of the IPs. You could work with Square Enix. You could have an entire movie that has everyone come together. You want to talk about a cinematic universe? Mickey Mouse, Minnie Mouse, Donald Duck, Goofy, the characters from Toy Story. I mean, it goes on and on and on. You could have all of them in a single movie. That would break every record. But you don't do that. Instead, you make movies like Wish. Which, the only thing that Wish accomplished was getting people to wish that the movie didn't exist. Which they made come true. Because they didn't go see it. Because they didn't care. Because, and I'll explain this. And I'm going to trust that the people in my audience are more intelligent than the lowest common denominator leftoids. When we see a black character in a Hollywood movie in 2023, there's apprehension. Not because we have anything against black people. It's because we have something against the portrayal of black people from these people in Hollywood who are so deeply and profoundly racist. Who believe that black people have to be stereotyped and, what do you call it? Typecast? If you're a black male, you can only be portrayed in one of a couple very limited ways. You're either the unassuming, like almost gay best friend, or you can be a bad guy, but you have to be portrayed with just a whole host of redeeming qualities, and you have to be made to appear like, well, you know, you're the thief with the heart of gold. With women, it's actually much more limiting in that it has to be an empowered feminist girl boss who knows all the sciences, who knows all the maths, who's better at everything. Look at Indiana Jones. Look at Terminator. That's not a Disney IP, but Terminator, they killed off John Connor and replaced him with a 4'2" Latina woman who is the most ridiculous person I've ever seen holding a gun. I mean, just ridiculous. But that's the point. They tear this stuff down. They put this propaganda in there. No one buys it. They accuse them of being racist because they're idiots. And this is ultimately what we have to deal with. And I'll continue making videos as long as people will listen to them. But I think that it's important to know that this is killing culture. Whereas Japan has a legacy, and they're making better content. The content in Japan, I want you to understand this, is so much better than ours that Netflix is doing live action Americanized remakes and adaptations like One Piece. They're trying to make Netflix live action animes because the stuff that we're making is so bad for the most part. I mean, there are exceptions like Castlevania, but for the most part, they turn to Japanese anime because what we're doing here is so far below the standard and nobody wants it. Anyway. Well, that'll do it for today's video, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.